Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, I'm Shayler, and today I will be doing a story time. Okay, so before we start the story, I want to do a disclaimer. Anything that I mention in this story time is solely just my experience, so please take it with a grain of salt. Everyone's experience is different. Let's go ahead and get into the story. I didn't organize any of my thoughts, so we're just gonna go off of whatever I remember, which I have really bad memory. Today I will be talking about how I tore my ACL. And I tore my ACL, my right ACL, the day after Christmas last year in 2019. I know, you guys, it's like the whole most horrendous time. The day after Christmas, it was horrible. Okay, so I'm gonna try to start from the beginnings. I like to think that I am an active person, so I started my fitness journey or health journey, I want to say in my early 20s, okay? Because when I got out of high school, the moment I realized that I needed to change my mindset about losing weight was when I first bought life insurance for myself. I was like maybe in my early 20s, or maybe not even when I was 20 yet, like right before I got turned 20. I got life insurance for myself. One of the requirements for the application was they write down your weight, right? And so he had weighed me on a scale, and you guys know what I saw on the scale? I saw 189, okay? So I was, in my mind, I was like, oh my God, I am 11 pounds away from 200 pounds. And that just like freaked me out. And I realized then and there that I had to change my mindset about losing weight, okay? Because in my head, I was like, I need to lose weight, I need to be skinny, I want to lose weight, I want to be skinny, right? And at that moment, I was like, you know what? I just had to accept my body and accept the fact that I will never be skinny. Which is true. I will never be skinny. I mean, maybe I will be skinny one day, but I had to accept the fact that I would never be skinny, or that I'm just not the type of person that will ever be skinny. You know, I'm just not built that way. I believe that I have big bones, or my structure is just bigger because my dad is quite tall, and he's a bigger Asian person. A lot of Asian people are really petite and small and short. I'm 5'5", guys, and that's pretty tall for an Asian person, especially in the Hmong community. I am Hmong. I just had to remind myself that I will never be skinny, okay? So I started to think, or in my head, instead of being skinny, I want to be strong, okay? I want to be toned. I want to be fit. I want to be able to do things that I had never been able to do before, and as far as like fitness moves and doing hikes or doing things that I just never thought that I would be able to do. I started working out at home. I believe I started at first working out at home, you guys. So I did a lot of home workouts because I was too intimidated to go to the gym at my current weight and health and all that stuff. So I started working out at home, and once I started feeling like I understood a lot of the moves and the forms and was more familiar with like the fitness community. Sorry, the lighting is changing right now. Once I got a full-time job, I decided that I wanted to join a gym. So right by my house, there's a CalFit, and this is only in California because it's called California Family Fitness. So right by my house, there's a CalFit, and so I decided, you know what, I'm gonna go in and I'm gonna just see if I want to sign up, you know. So I went in, and you guys, okay, side note, CalFit has like the shadiest representatives, okay? Set aside, I love CalFit. I would go to CalFit, and you guys, I never did any of the floor equipment in the gyms. What I did was I did a class. I did a fitness class, and I really enjoyed it. And I was like, oh my God, I could totally do this. It was like 30 minutes or 45 minutes or like an hour. And so I started getting addicted to fitness classes. So I would go to like fitness classes like all the time, like 5 days a week, whenever they had fitness classes. And I went kind of like, I got a little addicted to it because I would go to the classes, and if I liked an instructor, I would follow that instructor to every single CalFit because my membership allowed me to. go to the other CalFits. That's how much I enjoyed the classes. So if you are going to a gym, go to a fitness class, find an instructor you like, and stick with them. Because there were some instructors that were kind of like too easy on the level for me, so I would find an instructor that I would like and take all their classes. So I would do RIPT. I think it's like resistant, stands for like resistance, interval, plyometrics, endurance, and I don't know what the other letters mean. I would do cardio kickboxing, which I really enjoyed. I would do their strength training. I would do their cycling. I would do their yoga. I would do their Pilates. I even tried Tai Chi, you guys. I know, I'm crazy. And I just loved it. You know, it just gave me so much energy. I felt so accomplished. I felt like I was getting stronger. So 3 months into my fitness journey at the gym, I started noticing like changes in my body. I was like, oh my God, I'm getting stronger. I'm losing weight. I'm getting a lot fitter. And so I was getting really fit and really healthy.
My first run was the Mud Factor run. This one here is actually the second one that we did, and I was pregnant with my son at the time and I didn't know it.
So I did a Mud Factor run, and it was so fun, and I finished the course and everything. I also signed up for Taekwondo. Okay, so I'll try to do like a montage of all the things I used to be into, and then I'll do a voiceover of all of it. But so I did the Mud Factor run. I signed up for Taekwondo because my sister owns a studio. She owns a studio now. Like when I first signed up, she didn't have a studio. She's taught out of school, so I don't have any photos of those. But so I signed up for Taekwondo around that time also, and you know I was doing really good. You know I was advancing really quickly. That was when I had my first knee injury. Okay, you guys. So this is leading up to my torn ACL that happened the day after Christmas last year.
So before that, my husband and I went to the Grand Canyon for like 4 days and we were hiking the trails. I hiked to this point here. It's called Plateau Point by myself. Here's a close up. And it's about a mile away from the river and it's like very, very difficult to hike there.
So literally like the weekend after we got back from hiking the Grand Canyon, which is, guys, really exhausting and it's really taxing on your body. I should have taken a way longer rest than just a few days. And instead of taking a rest, I decided, oh, I can do Taekwondo. And my sister really wanted me to come back too. So I went to Taekwondo class like the weekend after I came back from the Grand Canyon, hiking it. And I was sparring with the kids. So at this time, my sister, her studio wasn't as developed. So a lot of her classes were like mixed ages. So I was sparring with like little kids, like 8 years old. So I was sparring with okay, you guys, I was sparring with an 8-year-old, yes, and I was going in for a fast kick. When I went in for a fast kick, I was using my left leg to kick and my right leg to stabilize myself for the kick. So what a fast kick is, you step in with your right leg. This is how I was doing it because I was using my left leg. You step in with your right leg to meet your left, and then at the same time you lift your left leg to kick, right? So when I did that, my right knee went inward. It was inverted, and I was like, and I fell to the ground, and I was in so much pain, and I couldn't really walk really well. So my sister gave me like frozen peas or something in the freezer to ice my knee at the time because we were at her in-laws studio. She didn't have a studio, like I said, at the time. So I iced my knee and I went to see my doctor, and she was kind of concerned because it was sprained and it was hurting and I was like really taking it easy. So I saw my doctor, and then I think I went back like a few weeks later and my knee was like perfectly fine. Nothing was wrong. Like I could do everything fine. The only thing I couldn't do was, you know, when you when you sit on your heels on the ground, I couldn't do that. I think it was still swollen, but it was still injured. And so my doctor didn't think anything of it because I pretty much went back to doing my regular activities like in a few weeks. So she was like, okay, you know, you're fine. It was probably just a sprain. And so we didn't take any MRIs or anything.
This is me post-injury when my sister was trying to open her studio in 2013. You could see I'm wearing a brace.
I had gotten injured, so I stopped going to Taekwondo, And then I ended up getting pregnant. You know what? I think this was at the end of 2013 because I was pregnant. I got pregnant and I had my son in June of 2014. So I got pregnant and then I just like stopped all my activities. After I had my son, I tried to go back to the gym, you know, because I just have my son and my husband can help watch my son. So I continued going back to CalFit. I didn't go back to Taekwondo yet. And then I got pregnant with my daughter and had her in 2016. So I felt like my journey was pushed back more and more and more because I got injured, I got pregnant, and then I got pregnant again. After I had my daughter, there was like no way that I was gonna go back to CalFit because having two kids and trying to go to the gym was like not gonna happen. I just couldn't find any time for myself for that at the gym. So I had to do it at home. So I continued doing home workouts. When my daughter got a little bit older, I started venturing out into other fitness things. So I signed up for a bunch of Groupons, you guys. I love Groupon, okay? And I love variety and I love trying new things, okay? And I'm always the person where I want to do new things and I want to do fitness stuff and like I always want to do this stuff and I want to bring my friends along, but like every time I end up signing up for it or going to the class, like nobody shows up and I always get stood up, and so I always do it by myself. I always try to find somebody to go with me, but nobody ever shows up, so I always end up going by myself.
This is just the type of person I am. We went to Reno for work and I saw a rock climbing wall, and of course I had to climb it. And here we are on vacation. 9 times out of 10, we'll do something fitness related. This one is just a hike to Alamir Falls for a birthday.
I started, I think, with CrossFit in the Groupon. I can't remember. My memory's really bad, but I signed up for CrossFit and I loved it, you guys. It's such a good workout. So I signed up for CrossFit. I started doing CrossFit, and by the time my Groupon was done, I would like sign up for a different CrossFit gym because some of them allow you to repurchase it like every 6 months. And so I would go to one CrossFit, finish that, go to another one, finish that, go to another one, finish. So I went to like 4 different CrossFit gyms. I signed up for CrossFit and then I also signed up for aerial yoga, and I love aerial yoga. I'm so addicted to aerial yoga. You guys should give it a try. It's a really good workout, okay? You'd be surprised.
Here's my montage of some of the poses for the aerial yoga classes. You get to be inverted and it's so fun. It's also really good for your lumbar spine. You get to stretch it out and you feel so good afterward. Here's a more advanced move of the classes, and I really enjoyed this one because it really helped with my cervical injury that I had later on in the story.
Also, the studio that does aerial yoga, they do a lot of other Les Mills classes, so I really got into bar as well. Bar is so fun, okay? If you want to grow your glutes, go to bar. But in one of the CrossFit gyms that I went to, I was doing their WOD workout of the day, and it was calling for like deadlifts and like rows and then pull-ups. It was a AMRAP. So I was doing like 95-pound deadlifts with this AMRAP that we were doing, and I think I did the form wrong towards the end when I was feeling more fatigued. So I pulled my muscle, my cervical muscle, and I was injured again. And I don't remember what year that was, but it was literally, I had pulled it literally a few months before I had the Spartan race, okay?
These are photos from our second Spartan sprint in 2019, and even though it's been a year post injury for my cervical muscle, I still wore my pro tape.
I pulled my muscle and I was in so much pain. And it's a very important muscle because it's the muscle that holds up your head. Like it runs along your neck to your shoulder here. So it holds up your head. So it was very fatigued because it was injured, and I mean, if you don't rest your head, then it's always like active. So it didn't heal quickly. I honestly still feel it like when I do abs and stuff, but anyway, so I got set back again for that. So I went back to that CrossFit gym, and then after I finished that CrossFit gym, I think I only did aerial yoga for a while, and then I decided to sign up for 9 Round Kickboxing. Now, if you are not familiar with 9 Round Kickboxing, they're like a franchise, so they're independently owned, and it basically is a really small studio, and they have 9 rounds, and they have like a heavy bag. They have the I don't know the terms, that teardrop bag where you go like that. Sorry, you're in the round for 3 minutes, and so by the time you're done, it's a 30-minute workout. And so it's supposed to be like quick, easy, fun. Like there's no class times. You always get a personal trainer. So when you arrive, that's when you jump into a round. And so they don't really promote warm-ups or cool downs, which is really, really, really important because that's how I got injured. So I signed up for 9 Round. This is leading up to how I tore my ACL. Okay, so 6 years later, I signed up in 2019 during Thanksgiving time. And so I started going to 9 Round Kickboxing. I really loved it. I really enjoyed it. I always broke a sweat, and I felt like, I was getting my moves, my jabs and my hooks and all that fun stuff. I was getting to know the form better. I was getting faster. I was like optimizing my workouts, but I didn't really put emphasis on my cool down or my warm-ups, which you should really do for places like that don't include them. How I got injured was I signed up for the 9 Round classes, 9 Round, and I would go like all the time. Whenever I had time, I would go, and I loved it because it's only 30 minutes, and then like you'd be done. And so I signed up for them in Thanksgiving, but before that I think I did a Groupon. So I know I did a Groupon, and then I signed up, and we had planned to go to the snow for Christmas. So we all went to the snow by South Lake Tahoe for Christmas Day, and it was so fun. The kids had so much fun. We loved it, and I didn't realize like how much I was using, your muscles when you're playing in the snow and you're having fun. But apparently, I should have rested after going to the snow, and I didn't. So what happened was we went to the snow on Christmas Day, and we came back, and I wanted to go to 9 Round the day after Christmas, right? And so I was like, oh, no big deal. I could totally do it, and I would want to do it, and I love it. And so I decided to go to 9 Round that morning, the day after Christmas. And I had gotten there, and I always wear these shoes that I bought from when I did Taekwondo, which, by the way, you guys, I forgot to tell you that I had started doing Taekwondo again.
I couldn't continue with Taekwondo because the studio was too far and my son was starting school, so I didn't have any time to dedicate towards it.
So I went back to Taekwondo for a little bit, but then I stopped going. So that's when I signed up for 9 Round, and then everything happened. So I went back to 9 Round the day after Christmas, and I would wear these shoes that I bought for Taekwondo, and it's a flatter heel, but it has a little bit of a heel, and it's better for pivoting when you're doing the kicks. I would wear those at the 9 Round classes, and so when I got there, there was the personal trainer that was there. I had never met him before. I had never trained with him before, and so I was geared up and everything, and I was starting the rounds, and there was a new person there as well, like a new member. She wasn't a member, I don't think. I think she was thinking about signing up, because your first workout's free, you guys. And so he was teaching her all the stuff, but I already kind of like knew what to do. So round one's fine, round two's fine. Round three, you guys. When I got to round three, he was having me do broad jumps. I think like maybe 5 broad jumps, and then you do 10 punches on the heavy bag. And so I was doing that, and I did 1 set, and then I did 2 sets, and then he was having me do a set with him where I would do the broad jump, and then I would punch his mitts instead of the heavy bag. So I would broad jump to him and do the punch the mitts. Well, I did a 3rd round, and I was fine, and then when the 4th round, he was like, okay, 1 more time, right? Because the timer was gonna go off. I was like, all right, fine. Like, I was like, oh man, I don't want to do these broad jumps anymore. Well, I did the broad jump, guys. Okay, and when I did the broad jump and I landed in my squat, my knee, my right knee, same knee from 6 years ago, went inward, and I fell to the ground, and I was in so much pain. And he was like, oh shit, like, are you okay? Wasn't his fault at all, okay? I don't blame him at all. It was completely my fault. And so 6 years later, I tore my ACL again, and I was laying on the ground holding my knee, and I was like, oh, oh. And then I was like, I stopped and I thought for a second, okay, if I stop doing this noise, like, does my knee still hurt? And I was like, yeah, it still hurts, so I'm still doing this noise. So I was like, oh, it hurts. And then, like, if I continue to do that noise, it actually kind of helps. And so I couldn't really feel my knee very much, so he had to help me straighten my knee. And then when I was down there for like maybe 2 minutes. It felt like forever, okay, because he wanted to make sure I was okay to stand up. He actually had to help me stand up, okay? So I stood up and on my left leg, and I could feel that my leg from my knee down was just like dangling. Like it felt like it was dangling, like I couldn't feel anything. I just sat down and I was trying to like check my range of motion. I was straightening it, I was bending it, and I couldn't really feel my knee, and so he gave me an ice pack. And I wish I would have sat there a little longer. I think I only sat there for like maybe 15 minutes, 15, 20 minutes. Maybe it wasn't even that long. I packed up all my stuff, and he's like, oh, you don't want to finish the rounds? And I'm like, no, I think I'm done for today. Like, there's no way I'm going to finish the rounds. My knee, I can't even feel it. So I packed up all my stuff, and I hopped to my car. He offered to help to the car, but I was like, no, I'm good. Hopped to my car, and the reason why I wish I would have stayed a little longer is because I'm gonna drive home, and my right knee was the one that was injured, so I couldn't really like control it to drive. Um, so that was like not a really good idea. But I did manage to get home okay. It's Christmas week, like nobody is open, so I had to call my doctor the day after the incident, and they were able to see me that Friday, which was nice because Christmas I think fell on a Wednesday this year. I got injured Thursday and was able to see her Friday, I believe. I think I called Friday morning and they were like, come in. And so I was like, cool. And so I went in, and it was horrible, you guys. I felt so horrible because, it's a new year and this had to happen. It's just like, it's such a big Debbie Downer for the new year. Because I was doing so good in my fitness, I felt great, and I was like really coming along because I had also started meal prepping. I forgot to mention in September of last year, and also counting my calories. So I was really like reaching goals, you guys. So I felt really set back when I got injured, which really sucked because I felt like I was making some progress because I did lose weight. I was at 191 pounds, you guys, okay, when I first started meal prepping. And it took me 6 months, but I finally reached my goal, which was to be 175. It took me 6 months, but I reached my goal with the meal prepping and the calorie counting and then my fitness and everything. But then I got injured, so it was kind of like really kind of crazy. That's how I tore my ACL. I tore it at 9 round when I was doing a broad jump, so it's not even a kickboxing move, which is funny because my doctor is so skeptical. She's like, oh, no more kickboxing for you, like, ever. And I'm like, okay. Because I talked to the orthopedist surgeon, and he was like, I don't see why not. You could totally go back to kickboxing after you get surgery and recover, which is awesome because I was like, cool. And and the owner of the 9 round, she's so awesome. She was like, oh, I'll freeze your account, and I'll freeze it for however long you need it for, because we really want you to come back and train with us. Like, we love training you and whatever you need. And I was like, cool. And I was like, cool, everything's working out great. But that's how I tore my ACL, you guys. Right now, with everything that's going on right now, which, by the way, I will tell you another story about. I feel like this new year is just going downhill. Mine just started early, the day after Christmas. I was already not going to work because I was on medical leave. So I had to wait so long. Like, I got an x-ray right away, which was awesome. But for the MRI, I had to wait like almost a month to get my MRI done. And then I had to wait like 2 months before I could see like the orthopedist, which I didn't even see the orthopedist. I saw his personal assistant. So I had the x-ray done. I finally had the MRI done, which, by the way, they tried to cancel on me, and I was like, oh, hell no, I'm not going to cancel my MRI because it took me so long to get this dang MRI appointment. you better send me somewhere else, which they did. So I got my MRI done, and they're like, oh yeah, you totally completely tore your ACL. And then I saw the orthopedist personal assistant, my first appointment in February, and was scheduled for surgery in March, okay, March 20th to be exact. So I was like, cool, everything's going great. Like, all I have to do now is wait for surgery. Literally, the week of my surgery was when I think the governor decided to do the quarantine and the shelter in place, whatever. And I was like, oh my God, really? Like the week of my surgery? And then like 2 days before my surgery, I got sick, okay? And I had to see my physician, my primary. And I went to see her and I got sick, and she was telling me, she's like, oh yeah, no, there's no way you're gonna do surgery. You cannot do surgery when you're sick. So she had to cancel my appointment, which by the way was already canceled. I just was never notified because the surgery center that I was going to have my surgery on March 20th was closed due to the quarantine. That was when all the businesses were closing because of the shelter in place or the quarantine. I was like so super bummed because I felt like everything is just being pushed back. But looking back at it now, I feel like God has a time for everything. Like, He has a timeline for you. And for me, I feel like maybe it's like that wasn't the right time. It just wasn't meant to be for me to have the surgery at that time, is what I like to believe. I didn't get surgery on March 20th. So currently, right now, I had to call my orthopedist, and they were not scheduling any surgeries for April. So they had to schedule me in May, which we are in right now. When this video goes out, we'll still be in May. And they scheduled me for May 22nd. I just have been waiting and waiting to get my surgery done. And it's finally coming around the corner, and I had to do all my pre-op again, which involves like getting your EKG for your heart, getting blood work done, getting like a urine test, getting like all this stuff done. And I had to do that again, and I had to see the surgeon again. I'll do another story time about everything that involves your appointments with the ACL and everything like that, and like knowledge about it, because I was so torn with but I was so torn about which option I wanted to go with. So I'll do another story time about that, but as of right now, I'm still waiting for surgery. And you guys, I honestly feel like my knee is getting so strong, and this is how I like to look at it. This just gives me an opportunity to work out other parts of my body. Like, I've been doing a lot of upper body, okay? And I've been doing core, and I've been doing glutes that involves being on the ground, not using your knees. You gotta look at it on the bright side, is what can you do in the situation that you are in? And that's exactly what I did. Is, I really enjoy working out, and so I was like, what can I do besides, using my knee, because I can't right now. That concludes today's video of how I tore my ACL. Thank you for listening to this entire story, because I'm pretty sure it's really long and very like scattered and all over the place, but I hope you got the gist of it. And I'm just looking forward to recovery after this, and making progress. And you will lose muscle during the recovery process, which I feel like everyone's concerned about, but you know what? That just means that you will have time afterwards to build yourself back up. Like, I'm always concerned, oh, I'm going to lose the muscles that I've been building. But you know what? That's all a part of the process. Like, after I recover, I'm going to start working up again, and I'm going to be back to where I used to be. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!